Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishna. Here, basically, we are discussing about the most dangerous topic, that is city creation. So, city creation is not the easy task. Basically, lots of people says that 100 building here, 100 building there, few gardens, few buildings, few offices, government office, few shops, few malls. That's all basically our city is created. But that is see basically how the things are basically connecting. So to create one city basically it's very dangerous. And after creation basically the maintenance is more dangerous. Dangerous also word, only word basically we can use. Why? Because it's connecting to the entire universe. Because while creating the city, you are actually creating the planets. Mm. Your body basically are creating the planets basically. That's why. And if you are creating any planets, then means for single body basically are creating the planets. So that's not so easy to create basically. And you have to do lots of plan basically. So the people basically say that basically the Reliance, TCS, Tata Groups, IPCL, ONGC, then IOC, then Ames Oxygen. These people are earning money in crores of rupees here basically. But see the risk factor also, no, basically. Up to what level the risk basically they are taking. Up to what level the risk factor also see basically. Because they are creating planets from their human souls. From their human souls data, they are creating planets actually. Not basically, it's not a so easy task basically. So it's not so easy task. Somebody is doing it. So that's very dangerous task. So according to that planet creation only, we will take one topic. One person told that in Mumbai city, in Vadodara city or basically in Mumbai city, you get data of power supply in advance of 2 months, right? Basically, so 2 months data basically which you are going to pass the data of the power supply in each and every house. That means the power supply of the planet's creation basically. This is the only way basically because you 2 months data means basically in advance basically you are passing. That means somebody is preparing the data basically for the planet creation. It's basically not so easy. So 2 months data basically is passing in advance. Then basically is passing the data, right? Basically, then into the DS basically. Yeah. So 2 months data basically are passed here basically in advance. So it's not so easy basically to create the city also basically because he is passing the data basically in the on the base of assumption that basically according to the plan basically which was planned basically by the World Bank, according to that entire city is prepared basically. So that's the responsibility of the city group basically, who are basically of the whoever are the rich people basically, they basically only will be answerable basically. Few people says that basically still basically the Rajasahi basically exists in the city, so they will be answerable basically. If the planet, if the power supply is basically getting passed, and if any problems basically are getting exist, if the problem basically are coming, then basically these groups will be responsible basically. These groups only will be responsible. So like this, one of the person told that the sequence 2 months basically data is passed in the power supply, then into the DS basically 2 months data basically are passed in the power supply. Power supply 2 months data are passed in the advance basically, yes. Then into the DS here 2 months data are basically passed. So that's very dangerous data basically. So to create one city basically is also basically very dangerous basically. That also you can say. So to create one city also that is not so easy basically. One of the person basically told this also. So one of the person told that For example, in India, basically, what is the sequence of power supply? Then one of the person told that Vadodara city gets the data in advance of 2 months, right? Basically, he told that yes, basically, India basically gets data in 3 months, basically. So how basically the chain is connected basically. For example, when Vadodara basically city power supply is basically using, that time basically Vadodara is also passing the data of the power supply to another city. Then into the layers basically. So how basically the sequence is basically. So one of the person told that the railway station basically which is created, that might be the sequence basically. Then he told that might be basically, because the railway station is the only way basically, from the base of that basically entire cities are basically connected. Then into that basically might be possible basically, but you can't basically say 100%. So like this basically the sequence are basically created, that also you can say. One of the person told that basically few people basically data are passed from the satellite directly basically. Then he told that yes basically, yeah, the few basically data are passed directly from the satellite. Why basically that is basically? Then he told that basically it might be possible that that might be critical data basically. That data basically can't be wait for next day basically. For example, Vadodara city gets 2 months data in advance. So they are basically getting the data in advance of each and every people basically who are staying in Vadodara city. So their data basically are getting of 2 months basically. So that data basically which was going to get which was going to supply basically 2 months after, that data basically they are getting from the one of the cities basically. They are doing the process, then basically it was theirs. So like this basically the Vadodara city data are basically handling, then into the layers basically. Few data basically are passed directly from the satellites. Reason, they basically can't wait for the next day basically. That type of critical data of that people basically. That's why the sequence basically are created, but for the people basically who are basically staying in the city, and few basically blood group basically are also basically passed the data, but few data basically are passed directly from the satellites basically. Few data basically are passed from the satellites also. So one of the person told that the blood group which is created in the above the blood group basically, for example, in A blood group or B blood group, E blood group, 90 crore people are there basically. So in this 12, 22 blood groups are also basically coming under any of the blood groups data. Then he told that basically might be possible basically. Might be possible. It might possible that any of the people basically might not have the blood groups. They basically might be passing the data to this group basically, because anything is possible basically. So that type of data basically are passed from the satellite basically, and the blood group data are also basically passed by the satellites only basically, because they can't wait for the next day also basically. Then it's a 2 months power supply data are basically passed. So like this basically, this is also basically the sequence of the power supply data which is basically getting passed. In this basically the power supply data is also basically connected with this 20% education error, and in this 200 people's error basically. So in next video basically we are going to, and this basically connects this also basically 11 parts also basically, and incidents also basically, because incidents are earthquake and incidents are created by whom basically, that we have already discussed. So next video basically that also will be the sequence of the power supply which is going to happen basically. So in next video basically that would be of this entire stories, and here basically we have added one more story, that is the sequence of the power supply. In next video basically we are going to see a little bit more about this.